Now, it's estimated that the economy lost billions in revenue as a result of the July riots and looting. But now we're feeling it where it hurts the most, in our pockets. Food prices have shown significant increases, and data from August shows that the average cost of food spiked massively in areas hit by the winter riots. Well, it's the highest it's been since last September. So let's discuss this with Mervyn from the Pietermaritzburg Economic Justice and Dignity Group. Mervyn, always a pleasure talking to you, and thank you so much for your time this morning. Listen, I have been to the shops. I've tried to get just the basic necessities, and I've realized that it's not as affordable as it used to be. And it seems that data's showing that it's been alluded to these riots. Just take me through the cost of the ordinary food basket in both Gauteng, in KZN, and how massively increased we're seeing, those price hikes at the moment.
Good morning, Tumelo, and good morning to all your viewers. Tumelo, as you know, we track the price of a food basket of 44 foods for a household of 7 persons. And we took our data within 10 days after the end of the social unrest. And so this is what our data has revealed: the food price spikes. In Durban, the price of that basket increased by 161 rand, or 3.9%. In Johannesburg, that same basket increased by 143 rand and 27 cents, or 3.4%. And in Pietermaritzburg, that basket increased by 128 rand and 33 cents, or 3.2%. So we saw well over a 3% increase in the cost of that basket, and it really affected almost everything. So 33 out of the 44 foods that we track had spiked in price, and about 5 of those foods have stayed the same. So the pressure on low-income households have significantly increased since the unrest.
Yeah. When we talk about these food increases and the numbers you've shared with us from both, Johannesburg, Durban and Pietermaritzburg, I just wonder if the social relief grant, that 350 rand, Mervyn, is even enough.
So we have said in the past that, of course, it is not enough to ensure proper level of dignity for households. However, it is also true that every cent at this stage will help. And so it is good that government has reintroduced that social relief. The problem is that it is taking so long to pay out. So households already are suffering the impact of these prices. And we must also remember that many of the stores where low-income households are shopping have been looted and burnt and not yet replaced. So included in this price is transport to travel further to collect and to purchase their food. So we really have to get cracking, and social development really have to get cracking, starting to release that money.
Yeah, so it's transport and food we're talking about now, but there's also then that electricity increase that we have to take into consideration, right?
Exactly. And of course, the way in which people buy food in low-income households is that they first pay for transport, they then pay for electricity and rent, and only thereafter do they buy food. So when electricity increased by 15% and transport by 7%, that also affects the ability of households to purchase sufficient and nutritious food.
What intervention then do you think is required at this stage, Mervyn? Is an emergency relief, some sort of emergency relief the way to go at this point? Because considering how much households right now, are having to fork out, how much they can even afford, the affordability of each household, the fact that, the unemployment rate right now, we're still talking about it right here on the South African Morning, reaching that, plus 34%, unemployment rate. There definitely is a crisis here that we need to take into consideration.
Tumelo, the crisis really rests in our inability to create economic growth. At the root of the problem really is, it's not enough food. There is enough food. South Africa produces a sufficient amount of food. It is that our economy is not generating sufficient jobs, is not creating jobs. It is not creating livelihoods, and our social grant system is so small that it doesn't allow households to create their own livelihoods. And wages in South Africa is historically fairly low. So we really have to sort out our economic growth trajectory before we will ever be able to deal properly with food insecurity, because we can't only deal with it as a relief issue. Yeah. We actually have to change our economy to facilitate better economic growth.
A good point to note there. Well, thank you so much for speaking to me. Mervyn Abrahams from the Pietermaritzburg Economic Justice and Dignity Group joining us right there from Durban.